specific test. So far, it seems all three top dogs are doing shoulder to shoulder. For the next test, I ran Wildlife Extreme Stress Test. This test runs a game loop 20 times, each loop taking around 20 minutes and pushing the phones to do the heavy work under an extended amount of time. This basically forces each phone to throttle. For this test, we are looking for two important matrices. One of them is the maximum performance in the first loop, and the second is which phone did better sustained performance, which you can see by the lowest score and also the chart. Also, I should mention a very important caveat in this test. The lowest score has a lot to do with how the specific phone handles throttling. Some phones throttle at lower temperatures like 40 degrees Celsius, which is 104 Fahrenheit, while some other phones like Xiaomi throttles much later at 50 degrees Celsius, which is 122 degrees Fahrenheit. That means the phone will have a higher lower score, even though it is not just about the chipset, but also about the fact that the phone simply didn't slow things down. Here is the result for the highest score, which basically is the first loop. The MediaTek got the highest score by a good margin, then the Snapdragon got second place, the iPhone A19 Pro got third, followed by Exynos, and finally Tensor. For stability, the Snapdragon got the better score, mainly due to the fact that Xiaomi 17 Pro Max throttled much later than the Vivo X300 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max. The second place was for the A19 Pro, followed closely by the Dimensity. The Tensor G5 and Exynos also didn't do great here, since, once again, the flip phones don't have the best thermals because all the brain is in the half of the phone. For the next benchmark, I ran Antutu. Antutu is a great benchmark because it not only tests the chipset but also graphics and a bunch of other things. At the same time, unfortunately, it is not cross-platform, so the scores for iOS are not comparable to the scores you get on the Android devices. Therefore, I'm not going to include this result in our final score. But since you may be interested in Android phones, the Dimensity got the best score. It got more than 3.5 million, which is crazy. The Snapdragon got second place. The Exynos surprisingly did better than Tensor, even though the smaller form factor is rather limiting on such a heavy benchmark, and Google Tensor G5 got the last place. There are a few ways to look at the results. One is by which phone got the most number of wins. If we look at it this way, the Apple A19 Pro gets first place because it won 3 out of 7 rounds. The Snapdragon 8 Elite and Dimensity 9500 won 2 out of 7 each. The other way we can rank them is that I gave 4 points to the phone with the highest score and 0 to the one that comes last. This way, Apple again wins with 22 points. The Dimensity 9500 gets second place with 21 points. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Generation 5 gets third place with 20 points. And then we have Exynos and Tensor. But I personally think the best way to do a final ranking is by doing a weighted score based on the exact performance they achieved. If you do it this way, Apple again wins with 6.5 points. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Generation 5 gets second this time with 6.3 points. Then we have the MediaTek Dimensity with 6.1 points, followed by Exynos with 4.3 points, and Tensor with a disappointing 3.1 points. This shows that you can't go wrong with choosing any phone with the Apple A19 Pro, Snapdragon 8 Elite Generation 5, or Dimensity 9500. You'd probably only get the Exynos one if you really want a flip phone anyway, and it is probably better